Welcome back to the Forge. We're going to continue with the second 18. And once again, we're looking at the themes that come when you put the sayings into their groups. So we are briefly just going to look at the Gospel of Thomas in terms of the Thomas Code. So as we know from the Evolution book, Thomas Code, which was discovered by Stephen Laurie, uses primary numbers and coded patterns to reshuffle the sayings. When you do that reshuffling, you find that there are themes that can be seen that bring the groups together. Often it will be 2 or 3 sayings and it's looking at the same theme from a slightly different perspective. Now, those themes would have been around before the Gospel of Thomas was created. So we are looking at the original teaching. And that would have come by followers asking the same questions over and over. Things that happen during their awakening process. And it would have been those barriers or issues or themes or subjects that were spoken about, and they have been weaved into the sayings. So now we are decoding the Thomas Code so that it's out in the open, so that it's clear for us what the message is. So let's begin with the first set of 3 sayings. And the theme which covers these 3 sayings is developing or losing that connection to the spiritual dimension, the non-physical. So it is saying 2.1, 2.2 and 2.3. Now, with 2.2, I've split the saying in half and moved them so that they fit with a previous saying. So you get a theme which runs more consistently through this group. So let's just read these out and we'll go from there. 2.1. The disciples said to Jesus, "Tell us what the kingdom of heaven is like." He said to them, "It is like a mustard seed, smaller than all other seeds, yet when it falls onto tilled earth, it produces a great plant and becomes shelter for the birds of the sky." 2.2, part B. Therefore, I say this, if the owner of the house knows that the thief is coming, they will keep watch before he comes and will not let him dig into their house to carry off their belongings. You must also be on guard and be aware of the world. Prepare yourself with great strength, or the robbers will find a way to reach you, for the problems you expect will surely come. 2.3. No one can go into a strong person's house and take him by force unless they bind their hands, then rob their house. 2.2, part A. Mary said to Jesus, "Who are your disciples like?" He said, "They are like little children living in a field which is not theirs. When the Lord of the field comes, they say, 'Give us our field back.' They, who are the small children, remove their garments in front of them to give those back, and they give the field back to them." 2.2, part C. Let there be amongst you a person of understanding. When the fruit was ripe, he came quickly. his sickle in his hand, and reaped it. Those who have ears to hear, let them hear. Let's pull those apart, shall we? Because the style of writing deliberately hides the message which is within them. So let's start on 2.1. The disciples said, "Tell us what the kingdom of heaven is like." And he said, "It's like a mustard seed, which is smaller than all other seeds. Yet when it falls onto tilled earth, it produces a great plant and becomes shelter for the birds of the sky." Now, that's traditionally been seen in Christian circles as the spread of Christianity across the Western world. From very small beginnings, these great branches have spread out and have spread the word. It can also be seen as small ideas that do exactly the same, that grow into much larger concepts and ideas and spread around the world. The however bit here is that the governing principle for this 18 is, "And when they find, they will be troubled." So within this saying is a warning. And the warning is there in a very, very subtle way. And that is because of the birds. Now, if we think back to the sower of 118, the birds were a very troublesome creature that comes down and it takes the seed, takes it away for itself. And we can also think of birds 2,000 years ago with the farmers. They wouldn't have been the lovely fluffy things that come onto our bird feeders in the garden. They would have been a pest. They would have been regarded as something that steals the food and destroys the crop. So hidden within that one word, the birds, we get the idea that there is something negative within this saying. And this is how these sayings are. You get this initial surface view, but then something often is hidden within the sayings, which gives you another perspective on it. So here we are being shown that actually the mustard seed doesn't grow into the mustard tree, it grows into the mustard plant. And there were two different types of plant that were being cultivated in the Middle East. One was the mustard tree, also known as the toothbrush tree, actually throughout Africa. And then there is the mustard plant, which is a cultivated crop. The problem with the cultivated crop mustard plant is that it is an invasive species. It's like Japanese knotweed or bamboo. Once it is in the soil, you can't stop it. And that's the warning, which is in this saying 2.1. It's telling us that within us, we have this invasive programming which can come back even when we are a long way down the road, when we've had moments of great awareness, of great understanding, when we have the knowledge. Inside of us, there are still habits and patterns and desires and obsessions and thoughts that can come back in an invasive way. They can creep back into us and we can lose that spiritual connection that we've had. That's the warning that we get in the mustard seed. And that all comes from understanding what the birds are all about within this saying. 2.2, I've split into three different sections, if you have the book, Evolution, you'll see that originally it was reshuffled into its original form. But I'd like to start here with 2.2, what I'm calling part B, because it carries on from that theme of the mustard seed. Therefore I say this, if the owner of the house knows that the thief is coming, they will keep watch before he comes and not let them dig into their house. The house, in this case, is the human body. It's one of those hominin words that are used throughout the sayings. And here, house, we could see it as the physical four walls, but actually the house is the body in this case. And the thief are those invasive thoughts, habits and patterns, beliefs that we just got from the mustard seed. And we can see that that's rolling over. It's reinforcing that message. The belongings that it can take away are that new set of spiritual understanding. Those new cornerstone thoughts that you have about who you are and what you are in the world around you. So those invasive ones that can come in. So they are the thief here that can steal things away. But it continues and it says, you must also be on your guard and be aware of the world. Prepare yourself with great strength, or the robbers will find a way to reach you. So we have thieves and robbers. The thieves are internal. The robbers are external. Those are those people who challenge your new thoughts, your new understanding, that place that you have just discovered. There will be people who challenge that, who try to take you away from what you have recently revealed about yourself and the world. So the robbers are external forces. Thieves are internal. And it just finishes off. For the problems you expect will surely come. When you go down this path, you are out of step with almost everybody else. There are going to be far more people that challenge you because their beliefs about religion, about how the world is, have become facts within themselves. And there are people who are simply unable to change. They are set in the way that they think and will challenge anything which is new. So that's 2.2, and that's the middle section of that. That's the part B. If we now roll on to the next saying, which is 2.3, it expands on that. No one can go into a strong person's house and take it by force unless they bind their hands, then rob their house. So on the surface, it looks like we're talking about the physical world, physical bricks and mortar. That's what it looks like. But it's not. We're once again talking about the person's house as being the person. It is all about robbing the physical person. Now, it says no one can go into a strong person's house and take it by force unless they bind their hands first. What are the things that bind us? The things that bind us are those that are closest to us. Family, friends, people that we work with. the religion that we find ourselves immersed in, those things that demand that we put them first, those are the things that bind us, that stop us from traveling down this path. And they do it in a very natural way. Those relationships that we have with those people around us are going to demand that they are put first. And those are the bindings that hold us most secure, most tightly. Those are the ones that are most difficult for us to break our bonds with. So the end of the saying says, then rob their house. And it is, once again, robbing, which is the external factor that tells us what this saying is all about. And it is about robbing us of being on the path and following the calling that we have. It's an extraordinary saying, but we can see how these things roll one into one another. And to go back to the overall theme, it is developing and then losing our connection. That's what the theme of these three sayings is all about. And we can see those when it's reflected in these sayings. 2.2, Part A. Mary said to Jesus, "Who are your disciples like?" And here we are introduced to Mary, who at this stage is one of the disciples. Mary Magdalene's story is woven in throughout the whole of the sayings because she is the example to us. We are following her journey because it is our journey as well. And here she's one of the disciples. So Jesus then says, they are like little children living in a field which is not theirs. When the owners of the field come, they say, "Give us our field back." And the children then remove their garments in front of them to give those back. And then they give the field back as well. So this kind of story is telling us that the little children are the living spirits within their host bodies. And the garments that they are wearing are their physical bodies. Now, garments is used throughout Thomas, and it has different connotations to it. It's one of these hominin words again, and it is used sometimes as physical clothing. Sometimes it is the physical body, which is a garment for the living spirit. And sometimes it is the living spirit, which is a garment for the physical body. So it's used in different ways. And here, the demand comes from the landowner who says, "I want everything back that is in my field." And to make their point, the living spirit, which is not attached to its physical form, simply leaves its body. And it says that you can have your physical body back. And it opens up once again this idea of there is a physical side to us and a non-physical side to us. With the garment removed, the field can then be given back to the landowner who has been saying, "Well, we own everything." And it introduces this idea very subtly of the world system, of ownership, of wealth, of control. And that comes into the sayings of the Gospel of Thomas in a very big way later on. But here it's a subtle undertone of who owns what, and the living spirit is actually saying, well, actually, you can have your body back because we are from this non-physical realm, and it takes us back into the ideas within the first 18 where we are living spirits and we are physical beings, and it is the union of those two which is what we are here to understand. But in order to do that, we have to train our thoughts onto this non-physical dimension that we have very little idea and understanding of. Let's move along to 2.2. This is the last section of 2.2. It's part C. Let there be a person of understanding. When the fruit is ripe, he came quickly, his sickle in his hand, and reaped it. Those who have ears, let them hear. Now we can see that all of the sections of this saying have been leading to this place. The person of understanding, that's the person of unity. When the fruit is ripe, he came quickly, sickle in hand, and harvested it. What this is telling us is that as your understanding, knowledge, and particularly experience builds, amongst you there will be people who recognize that there are others on this path who need to be collected in, who need to be shown the way, who need this information to be passed to them. Otherwise, the fruit will drop and may never come back this lifetime. And that is a recurring theme within the Thomas sayings, that as you begin to awaken, you will notice that there are others who are starting on this path, and you'll be drawn to helping them so that they can follow. And that's why we have the story of Mary Magdalene in here, because we're showing that this is somebody who was on this path. Other people have traveled this way before us, and it is for us to recognize not only are we traveling this path, but there are others who we can encourage and help along this path too.